Hello, YouTube. It is International Women's Day. And yeah, so I thought that I'd recommend you some movies that are directed by women that are like not in English and are set in various countries throughout the world. I watched quite a few movies over the weekend. My favorite one is this Turkish film called Mustang, and it is about these five sisters. The school year's just ended and they end up frolicking on the beach with these boys, and the boys are like playing with them in the water and carrying the girls on their shoulders. And then when they get home, Grandma freaks the fuck out because she's like, oh my god, the neighbor woman said that you were pleasuring yourself by rubbing your genitalia on the backs of these boys' necks, because, you know, they were carrying girls on their I love how the girls reacted to this, because like immediately they start screaming, they start yelling at Grandma, they go out the house and start cussing out the neighbor who ratted them out. One of the girls like dismembered and burnt one of the chairs in the living room. Right away I fell in love with these sisters. Now a lot of these movies that I saw recently have this theme of like strong-willed women kind of fighting against the patriarchy, but I do think that this one is different in that it's five sisters, so it's not just like one little girl fighting and her one or two allies in the corner. So with these five girls you really get to see the dynamic of sisterhood, and they all have these different motivations for fighting back. I love seeing the relationship between the sisters. That was like the biggest plus for me. And it was so funny, and like it's definitely not a comedy, it's like a serious movie, but like there were so many funny lines, and I would think, okay, that's true, like a teenage girl would say that. One of the things that I really loved was that my first impression of, was it Grandma or the aunt? Whatever, I think it was Grandma. My first impression of her was like, oh my god, she's so strict, I can't believe she's being absolutely ridiculous. But then their uncle comes home and immediately starts scolding her and saying, this is all your fault, you raised these girls, you gave them too much freedom, blah blah blah. So you really become sympathetic with her, and it's like, okay, yes, she's acting in a way that's oppressive towards these young girls, but it is because she's from a very patriarchal society in which she is also oppressed and doesn't have a lot of freedom to raise her girls whatever way she chooses. She still has to like cleave into that societal expectation and make them like marriageable and shit. Cannot recommend it highly enough. Watch Mustang. If you watch no other movie that I recommend, watch Mustang. Okay? As I said, a lot of these other stories have that same theme of like girl fighting against the patriarchy or whatever. The next movie that I watched was Wadjda, which is set in Saudi Arabia. I heard that it was the first movie ever made in Saudi Arabia, and it was directed by a woman, so yeah. It is about a little girl, and all homegirl wants is a bicycle. But her mom's not gonna buy it for her. Her dad is barely in this movie. I think he's like trying to get a second wife or something. Anyway. She decides that she is going to join the religious club and compete in a Quran recital competition so that she can win the prize money and buy a bicycle. Very cute movie, very funny. I enjoyed it. I recommend it. Next movie that I watched was called Water. And it's part of like this Element series that the director made. Like she also made Fire, which I saw several years ago. Fire is about these two women in India. They're in an arranged marriage that they're not happy with, and they fall in love with each other. Water I did not like quite as much as Fire. It is about this 7-year-old widow At first I was thinking it's sad that she was married off at 7, but her husband died before she even knew that she was married to him. She didn't have to have sex with some pedophile. And because she's a widow, she is required to like never marry again. And she wasn't like thrown into her husband's funeral pyre thing, so I was thinking this is a pretty good deal for her. She doesn't have to get married to some other creep, and she didn't have to deal with the first guy. So but this movie really showed me that, oh yeah, being a widow isn't all fun and games like I would have thought. I don't know what the next movie in the Element series is. Is it Earth or Air or I don't know, and I don't know what it's about. I don't know if I want to move on to it because I don't know if I want to be sad. So, the first movie that I actually watched this weekend is the one that diverged the most from this theme, in that it is science fiction. It's a vampire movie, and it is in Persian. It's called A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. It is about this guy. He lives in Bad City with his dad, who is addicted to heroin. He likes prostitutes. The local pimp slash drug dealer wants all of this money that daddy owes, and then you have this vampire vigilante girl. She's kind of mysterious. She doesn't say much. She walks around the city at night, kind of scopes out what's going on, who are the bad people that she can like suck blood from. Okay, so the story does have this element of romance in that it's about like these two lost souls, and they're kind of like odd courtship that was interesting to watch. But it's not just that. It's not just that, because the movie passes the Bechdel test, which I love. I also love that there is a prostitute in this movie who is not shamed or judged in any way. The vampire girl talks to her and she's like, you know, I see you out at night. I know that this is not the career path for you, and you know that this makes you sad and such, but it's not like shaming her for being a prostitute, because the shame is 100% towards the men in the story who take advantage of her. I like seeing women supporting women. You know, we see this man take advantage of this woman, then we see vampire girl comes in, and then we see both of these women coming together and disposing of the body. Yes, that is what I want to see in cinema. I will say that I watched these movies with my roommate, and she did say that it was her least favorite because I guess there wasn't enough for her to get attached to. There was this little part with somebody like dancing with a balloon, and she just turned to me and said, what the hell was the point in that? And yeah, it has nothing to do with the rest. But I will say it's all in black and white, and it is gorgeous. It is a gorgeous movie, so I recommend it on that. But yeah, I definitely say that the strongest story was Mustang, although my roommate said that Wadjda was her favorite. What if I were to make like some sort of movie series where I recommend movies, particularly independent movies or like foreign international movies? Would you be okay with that or no? Tell me in the comments below. To be honest with you, I actually much prefer TV shows to movies because I like getting to interact with characters over time. But I think you already know what my favorite international TV show directed by a woman is anyway. Real talk though, the reason why I did not record this video sooner is because I spent my entire weekend and Monday just on my phone making sure that my favorite Scandinavian couple won that fucking online poll, which they did. I'm so proud of them. Good writing prevails. Anyway, in March I will continue recommending things by and about women, so yeah. Hope you enjoy this.